I know we always start these videos with, or finish it off with saying, don't forget to like and subscribe, but I would just point out that Classics World and Classic Car Buyer are print products that you can subscribe to on a regular basis, and we'll put a link in the description if you want to support us by buying these print products. Classics World's out every 4 weeks, and Classic Car Buyer is out weekly most of the time. But anyway,
most of the time.
Yes, very
Phil,
good.
Classics World, the monthly magazine.
I've been taking a look at Classics World, the March edition, which is out now. Again, this is James and Paul are at the helm now doing the print product, and I think this is only their second issue. Yeah, definitely in at the deep end, but great selection of stuff. They've got an Austin FX3 taxi. It's £1 to read the first page and 50p for every page thereafter.
What time are you finishing reading it tonight?
There's a Ford Capri Mark II GXL with a 3-litre S6 V6 engine. Absolutely love that car. That would be my car of the magazine for that one. We've got the wooden constructed Hustler.
Yeah, that one was
in the magazine, and you've driven it. With Rage,
Paul and I made a quick trip up to Stone Cold Classics to borrow one off lovely Wayne. It's the 6-wheeler, so not the 4-wheeler you may have seen a certain Furious driving have
Furiously drive.
Yeah. But no, it was great. Obviously, we've got mini subframes, Allegro power plant, and it went surprisingly well. Being made of wood, it didn't really weigh very much. It was surprisingly rigid. I mean, windows, which for those for the uninitiated is a portmanteau of window and door, made it a little bit difficult to get in and out of. It had
very high sill.
It had a high sill, but a very wide sill. I'd say it was probably wider than something like a VX220 or similar. But no, it's surprisingly refined, loud above 50, but again, it's made of wood and, jangly bits of glass and rattly old props for the tailgate. But no, a nice little thing to go around.
There may or may not be a video already on the channel. If there isn't, it's coming.
Yeah, there is a video of said car on its way, isn't it? But a very random car. There's also a Land Rover Series 2A, which you drove.
You will have seen the video, hopefully.
That is already on the channel.
That is on the channel. Go and watch that. I'm not historically a massive Land Rover fan, so I kind of went into that video more as a history lesson than as a review, because you shouldn't be biased when you go in with these things. Do you know what? I loved it. It was actually great. You saw it. It was a cold December day when we filmed that, and I was bouncing around, no seatbelt, and you could see I'm doing 35 miles an hour driving like that. Do you know what? Actually, it was great.
Well, if you remember, we had that Safari project for a little while.
I never got a chance to drive that one.
Yeah, it was a bag of bolts. It really was, but it's been bought by someone in the business, I think.
It's in the
area. Bought
it
for his dad. So, and then the Mercedes 124 that we've covered extensively on the channel.
Have we?
You may have seen
one of those.
Yes. Is now appearing in the pages of Classics World magazine as well.
So if you want to go and explore it, obviously there's the quick little video I did on the channel of just servicing it and washing it. There was a lot more went on behind the scenes. It got a new fuel pump, it got new tyres, a few bits and pieces. So we cover it a lot more in depth in the magazine. I think next month's issue I talk about the fuel system, where I spent an hour chasing fuel leaks, thinking I'd broken something, and discovered that I'd left one washer out. And as a result, covered the driveway in petrol.
It's easily done, and therein defies the frustrations and joys of classic car ownership.
Yes, indeed. So please go and read that for my suffering, if nothing else.
We've got the ADO 16 buying guide.
Brilliant.
Love an ADO 16. We've got the profile of the Citroen DS, which I know is your probably all-time favourite car.
Most definitely is. It's our most popular video.
And our most popular video. Yes.
So it's your favourite car.
So yes, I think we can all agree on that one. And in the future classics section, towards the back of the magazine, we've got a buying guide on the R230 Mercedes SL, which I have to say is a bit of a sweet spot for me.
You like those, don't you? Yeah.
I think they look really cool. I worry about the technical bits all going wrong.
Yeah, well, that's a future you problem, really.
Exactly.
Buy wisely and you don't need to worry.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you can see it shoot out with a Jag XK8 on the channel.
Exactly, but I think they're rather cool. So,
And we've got a copy of the latest Classic Car Buy as we film this day. We haven't actually got a copy of Classics World because it's so in demand we couldn't get one.
Exactly. It will be out by the time this video comes out, though, so
links
do
in
check
the description.
So we are also putting a little bit more effort on our socials as well. So if you'd like to go and take a look at the old Facebook, we'll be putting some unique content up there every week.
Facebook and Instagram.
Lots of polls, lots of opportunities for discussion, as we shall do now, gentlemen. So I think across the print products, first of all, we'll focus on Classic Car Buyer because it's more topical, because it's weekly, of course.
Yes.
All sorts of bits in this week's issue. For a start, 2025 market insight. So Haggerty have dropped their bull list, which is kind of the cars to watch for this year, and there's a couple of absolute highlights in this. I've got to tell you, I mean, Ferrari 355, Peugeot 106, Range Rover P38. I think that could be on the turnaround. I think they could be at the point now.
Is that because all the rubbish ones have gone?
Well, this is it. There comes a point where all the rubbish ones have gone in the bin. Similarly with Rolls Royce Silver Shadows, actually, because that's on the list as well. Here's a slightly left field one for you. Look, Maserati Ghibli there, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, in any case, it'll be a hell of a lot better than the new one that they've put out.
What, you mean the Chrysler 300?
The one that you can fit a tube of toothpaste in the door gap of.
Yes, we've all seen that video.
Just don't buy a car you can't spell, though. It sounds risky.
No, exactly. Austin Healey 3000. That's an interesting one, because I think the market has kind of gone back and forth on Healey 3000s. They were at their absolute peak in kind of COVID, where you saw a few change hands for sort of £100,000 or so. They're in a bit of a trough at the moment. We've seen a few change hands for less than 40. But now they could be on the way back up again, so I think that could be one to buy while you can.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought that, but that sounds good.
But
Great car.
Oh, absolutely.
You've driven one, right, for the
drove one very briefly. Yes, there's a video on the channel. We did Chimera versus Healey 3000.
That's right.
That was a great video. I really enjoyed that one. But interestingly, we also spoke to some of our auctioneer friends. So we spoke to WB and Sons, we spoke to SWVA, we spoke to Hobbs Parker, a few others, to see what they think is going to be the hot property for 2025. One of the ones that came up was 90s and noughties performance cars. So hot hatches, sports like Subaru Impreza came up, Porsche 996, which, as I discovered at the NEC, the values of those might be going up. You've been looking at a 90s performance car to buy lately, haven't you?
I really would. Well, I actually did go to see the E39 Alpina B10 3.3. I'm not trying to, popularise that listing, because the lovely gentleman I went to look at it at would not drop the price for me at all, despite a fair few number of little niggles that I did manage to find. That or a Mark II MR2 would be lovely, an SW20 turbo. Make sure you get revision 3 if you're going turbo, because the earlier ones will kill you and the later ones will be slow. So revision 3 is pretty much the only one you really want.
You've narrowed the field down quite a lot.
If it's between 93 and 96, you're golden. Beyond that, you make some compromises, but we'll see.
There's potentially other things to look at there. Another feature we've got in this week was cars that kind of had a poor reputation, but they've kind of salvaged themselves, and they're a bit more desirable now. So one of the archetypal cars for this, Triumph Stag. Obviously, it's had all the kind of overheating, Triumph Stag, very funny. But actually, a nice one now, go and watch our video, we drove a lovely one from Sherwood Restorations. A nice Triumph Stag is hard to beat.
Did that have the original Triumph
V8
in it?
Fully rebuilt, but totally original power plant, even the original radiator.
Let the record show that it doesn't even have to be a Triumph V8 or a Rover V8. You can also have the V6, like the Essex that we saw at our friend's Hobbs Parker.
Yes, indeed. Another British GT in the list, the MGC, of course. Ill-fated, understeers, but actually we all know now that there's low tyre pressures on the press drives. And again, a nice C, go and watch our review of one of those, can be a lovely thing as well.
Yep.
Bit more power to be squeezed out of it, bit better handling with modern shock absorbers and tyres and things. But what do you reckon? I mean, there's a few more on this list. Jag XJS, we love those.
Well, I'd like to point out that 40 years ago, in 1985, a certain film premiered when I was 10 years old. Back to the Future.
Oh, of course.
Featuring a certain
brings us very
time machine.
Made of stainless steel.
Yes, indeed.
It wasn't a Cybertruck.
The now iconic DeLorean.
Yes, of course, there we go. Buying guide for the DeLorean DMC-12, which there's a lot more to look out for on those than you might think. And obviously they don't rust, but there's other things to look at, and mechanicals and so on. The interesting thing for this, we always run a feature in CCB with a buying guide of or maybe. So if you don't want this, what about this? For the DeLorean, it was a real challenge, because if you want a DeLorean, nothing else will do. Really.
Well, you managed to come up with an interesting alternative, didn't you?
Yeah, the best I could come up with was if you wanted a PRV V6 in something with angular styling, then why not the Volvo 262 Coupe?
Yeah.
Very cool. Probably even rarer than a DeLorean.
I would say it might be these days, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. So many exciting things in this week's issue of CCB. So go ahead, buy it now. It's in the shop, shop.kelsey.co.uk if you want to buy it. All the back issues, lots of lovely stuff from Jeff and I, particularly every week.
So all that and a hell of a lot more in Classics World March edition on sale now. We'll put a link in the description. You can buy the issue individually, or you can subscribe, which is obviously the best way of getting it to your door.